These are the ones that did not have to be called in front of us?
Move approval, subject to necessary requirements.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And then we have item number 40. Gail?
Mr.
Came
Chair.
just in time.
Yep, good timing, huh?
Liquor for the farmers.
Actually, it's supposed to be set up on that screen, so if you'd like,
Kevin, you're the tech guy.
No.
Mr. Chair, if I could, if you want to temporarily adjourn for now, you handle A and F maybe, and I can get this thing set up.
Sure.
That works for you?
Move we recess license and health.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll be back.
Okay, the Administration and Finance Committee will come to order, and all 5 members are present. And we have one joint referral, which we will hold for a moment. That's item 25, and we'll,
Just walked in the door.
oh, it just walked in. How about that?
Everything is just on time today. This is.
Yeah. Well-oiled machine. Item 25 is a resolution approving the 2020 Engineering Department fund transfers amending 2020 capital improvement program.
Move approval.
Motion from Alderman Weigel,
Second.
second from Alderman Rote. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Alderman
What exactly
Chalesky.
are they?
Yeah, they're changed to the capital. I have to look at them. So far this year, the bids have come in high on two different bids that we had came in like very high.
What was that percentage high? Do you remember? It was like over 10% higher, wasn't it?
It was 9 something, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
for sure on one of them. So what what the city engineer is proposing is to delete 86th Street and Dakota Avenue and do all the projects that have come in over bid, which is, they're all highlighted in the draft plan that's in the packet, but it's basically National, Lincoln.
Skip these.
And then what we did is, there were some dollars, it didn't work out perfectly. We did increase the pavement patching and the relays in water, sewer, and storm, because we're expecting future bids to perhaps come in over as well. And then we'll have some flexibility there to take care of those. The police chiller is also in here, that $71,000 that we needed. That, we're switching the purpose, so from streets, part of the street project is using, is donating to that, if you will, and then it'll just be a different borrowing purpose for that 71,000. But overall, there's no dollar change on the overall CIP for 2020 at this point.
Thank you.
But we have to do this because of the borrowing and the reimbursement resolution, et cetera.
Any for Alderman May?
Do we know, are other cities seeing this kind of an increase, or are these contractors saying, hey, this is what they were able to get for National Avenue, which was so much higher than a normal road, let's start going for higher on these other projects? Hey,
Yeah.
Pete and I had that
every time a
conversation.
question comes up, the right person walks in the room. We're on a roll tonight.
Just-in-time inventory.
Have we contacted other communities to see if they're seeing these 10% increases on projects?
I talked to Wauwatosa, I talked to Waukesha, and I actually talked to Lalonde. They've actually said their costs have gone up 20%. 20% up in labor, and then the price of gravel has gone way up. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's not like National Avenue was a special project. They charge so much, and everyone went, we can get that for National Avenue. We can get it for little side streets here and there.
Actually, our bid prices compared to Wauwatosa were actually lower, so, and Waukesha's too, I was looking at theirs too, so,
Okay.
but they're all up.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 26, the ordinance to amend the West Dallas salary schedule.
Move for
creation.
approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 27, resolution relative to the approval of employment contract for Cale Decker.
Okay, you got it.
There's no, I don't hear a motion.
Move approval.
Postpone indefinitely, it would be,
Second,
I'm kidding.
Discussion.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes The ayes have it.
Got voters in the crowd.
Yeah. Item 28, resolution approving a West Dallas Neighborhood Association small grant program focus grant.
Move approval.
Motion from
Second.
Alderman May,
Second.
second from Alderman Weigel. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 29, a communication from the city administrator, which we will do in closed session at the conclusion of, I think we should probably go after the Kale presentation. We'll reconvene administration and finance and do a closed session item. And then item 31 is on our city attorney report, and that is,
Move approval.
yeah,
Oop,
approval as presented.
it says that anyway.
Yeah, Mr. Decker.
Mr. Chair and the committee, this was a claim for an unlawful tax, and although the letter says the refund is $14,674.77 after the finance director went through it, it actually would be a $12,890.48 refund amount. Now, the taxpayers actually paid a partial payment for this year, so there's not an actual refund occurring, it's just the amount due will be reduced by that amount. And Peggy wants to correct me if I said anything wrong?
No, that'll be correct.
Okay.
And Mr.
We have
Chair,
a motion from Alderman May. Yep.
as I say, I believe what it had to do is the city assessor had so many units of apartments written down, but it was actually much fewer that actually exist, and that's why the difference, so
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
it's fair.
So we have a motion from Alderman May. Can we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Alderman Weigel. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
for number 30, can we place that on file? It sounded like we weren't going to get anywhere with number 30.
I don't have a jacket for number 30.
That was one of the.
That
we had a
was
whole
the-
discussions on the charter ordinance.
Yeah,
Committee of the whole, he said send it back to
yeah.
Administration. Finance.
administration and finance
So
and
for-
have us either hold it or file it or.
Let's place it on file. Thank
I
you,
think-
Alderman May.
yeah.
Yep. Even though I don't have a jacket, but we can make that
Oh,
happen.
the seven votes aren't there.
Can I have so Alderman May is making a motion to place on file. We have a second from Alderman Rote. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
So place on file means it's done. I guess I would rather hold it and at least let the.
Bring it back to the new
soon-to-be
council?
sworn-in council at least talk about it.
And the only reason I was thinking is Alderman Barzak sounds like he switched his mind too. I don't know if he wants
I
to keep his
understand
name on as the sponsor.
I like talking about stuff.
I think the next council can bring that forward, though. Can totally bring up the next.
But
same
then I'll have to
proposal.
sponsor it. Right now, Alderman Barzak sponsors. I can sponsor it when the time comes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Housekeeping. Yeah.
housekeeping, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. The motion is to place on file. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Thank you, Alderman May, for being on top of that. And so we adjourn administration and finance, and then we'll bring A&F back after Kale's presentation.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning A&F?
Take a motion, there's a motion to recess A&F temporarily?
Let's recess
Recess.
A&F.
Recess to recess.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye, all right, good. As long as we know what
We
we're
all know where
doing.
we're all going. Yeah.
Let's call administration finance back to order. And Kale, your presentation.
Mr. Chair, this was a topic that came before the committee during its larger meeting last week. Decided to put together a visual, at least for the committee, because it is somewhat of a complex item. The idea, again, to refresh everyone's recollection, is how to utilize the farmer's market space and make alcohol service potentially available there, and also make it available for other rentals and things like that. So the options, as presented before, I'll go into them sort of as a visual here. I'm gonna press the right keyboard though. All right, I'll do this, I guess. So one of them would be the option of having a single permanent location with a premises extension. You'll see this area right here, this little box is actually an office that is entirely enclosed underneath that building. And the theory would be that that could be the permanent licensed location. It's a very small area with just a single door coming in here and then a service door in the back. So by extending the premises for when an event is occurring at the farmer's market, you could specifically describe that premises as this area. That's what I suggested, so that it doesn't go into the parking lot, but it does encompass the entire area outside the street. If the Desire, because Lapham sometimes is closed for events, this could be extended out further if the committee and the council wanted to do so. But this idea, again, would just simply allow alcohol service anywhere on the premises. So whoever the licensee is could serve. They could set up little stands here, or they could do anything on the premises for service. They could have table service if they want to set that up somehow. If this is not licensed, and let's say West Alien or another brewery wanted to set up, they would not be able to carry their product onto the licensed premises while this is occurring. So this truly would give this person an exclusive right to serve on that location because the entire thing would be licensed. The other option would be just to simply have this as the only licensed premises in the grounds, and then the rest of it is unlicensed. So what you would do then is you could declare this a community event, which would allow the carrying of an open intoxicant within a certain area. People would have to go here to obtain it, and then they could walk around the whole grounds. If you have other services from breweries like either a Sprecher, Lakefront, whoever wants to set up with a local brewery satellite's location, they could serve, and their beverages could also be taken everywhere except into here, which wouldn't really make sense for people to bring it in there anyway. But it'd be a way for multiple people to serve because there's no licensed premises right here. And if you remember, the reason this is okay is because under state law, there really is no state law prohibiting the carrying an open intoxicant in public. And also, because this is municipally owned, it is not required to be licensed even though it's a public place and there would be alcohol served. Now, the two differences there, I tried to break it down in a way that I thought would be helpful for the committee to consider. The alcohol service area is one thing to consider. Again, option one, anywhere in the premises. That means servers can walk around and you can set up little silent locations. Option two, more limited service to that one area in the office where everyone has to go in there to get it and can walk out with it. The second thing to consider, who's responsible. Under option one, the licensee would be responsible for that entire place by statute and could be held accountable for everything that occurs there. It is an open area, it's not fenced in, so that is something to consider. The other way to do it under option two would be to lease that premises to the licensee, and then the language would be spelled out within the lease. So option one would be a violation of state law if something occurred. Option two, it would just be a violation of the lease. Any ordinance changes under option one, there will be no need to change any ordinances. Under option two, if you want the unlicensed area, there might have to be some sort of ordinance to restrict the carry-in of alcohol, because though it's unlicensed and it'd be allowed by the city, theoretically someone could carry alcohol in and consume it as opposed to having to purchase it from a location nearby. So that is one change that would have to happen if you wanted to make that restriction. Minors. Under option one, it gets a little iffy, but I think that it would qualify under this notion of a coliseum, and that the area itself is a multi-purpose facility designed for the public and for trade shows, convention centers, fairs, things like that. But you'll see it says include but are not limited to. Mm-hmm. That's the language that usually you see when it's just supposed to be a list of similar events. My interpretation, at least, is that this would be similar to these types of events, but it is something that it is not guaranteed in law. Under option two, there would be no issues because there would not be a licensed premises, so minors could be there. And then the alcohol consumption in public place, again, of option one, the area is licensed, so there's no issues, and the city's exempt because of this law, so even if it was unlicensed, it would be also okay. Private rentals. This one is again going to be a decision to make by the council. Under option one, you could not have any carry-ins, so if any private events want to rent the farmer's market and the licensed premises was extended, that person would have exclusive right to serve at that location. Caterers would not be able to bring in. Under option two, it would be to the council to decide how they want to handle it. You can either allow caterers to bring alcohol in or not. And the way that works with catering on unlicensed premises is the sale actually occurs at the caterer's licensed premises, and then the drinks are actually brought to the facility and given away to guests, because the sale has actually already occurred. But they could not sell cash bar at that location under option two. Option one could be a cash bar. Then competition. So under option one, it is an exclusivity situation. That one licensee would have sole ability to serve in the premises, no one else could bring in. Under option two, There would be the ability for places like breweries that have those satellite locations, but other Class Bs, unless there's a very nearby one that could extend its premises toward there, it's going to be more difficult for there to be any type of competition or contest among licensees at that location, other than breweries. So, that's the real basics. Oh, there's even one more. I guess I was one more. I was really excited. So, the control and flexibility. As a landlord, you can see that there's going to be pretty good control and flexibility no matter what, because the city will be the landlord. So, I wouldn't consider that to be too much of a consideration or factor. That option 2, again, is just a little more flexible because you're not going to restrict the type of alcohol that can be on site. And then the revenue generation, again, it's going to be dependent on where you're looking to generate revenue. I think both have the opportunity to do so. Option 1, it's going to be from the licensee. That exclusivity is going to make it more valuable for that licensee because they're going to be the only provider. Under option 2, private parties and others like breweries that might want to come to these events would have the ability to do so. So there might be more ability to generate the revenue from those rentals and from breweries renting spots to serve customers at that location. So I didn't really have any way of determining which one's more revenue. It's just those are the factors that I was able to figure out. So now I think I'm done. Take any questions?
Over me.
I wondered if there was a blend of the two options, if you recall. Farmers market's open Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, let's say noon to 6. Could we have it where option 1, the licenses or the agreement's written that on farmers market days, the Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays between noon and 6, you have exclusive right to this premises, and then all other times, leave it open for option 2 to be exercised.
That I think legally we could do that. The issue is going to be confusion for anyone who's participant, the customers there, or participants of any activity. If the rules are going to be changing depending on the day, it might get confusing. That's the one thing to be concerned of. But other than that, I do think there is a way to draft the lease in that manner where it would only be applicable at certain times. But again, maybe more for the customer side of things and for enforcement side. I'm sure that if the police have to show up for an event, they have to know what the status is. Is it licensed? Is it not? Who do we hold responsible? And do we cite them or not?
Right.
That's the only part that it'd be nicer to pick one or the other from an enforcement and administration standpoint. But I don't see a legal reason that we would not be able to do a hybrid.
I mean, I would think from an enforcement standpoint, the police department just knows on these days, this person has a sole agreement, and outside of that, any others, I don't know. I would think you maximize your revenue potential by doing that.
Alderman Weigel.
I'm gonna agree. I think you're gonna find potential vendors are gonna want the best of both worlds, I guess, and that's what we'd want. We'd want whoever's there to make money and enough money because the goal here is for us to make money too. Kale, 2 questions. It seems like now any outside licensees are gonna have to be contiguous with the property or close, you said nearby, potentially in a new development across the street or something, right?
As I
It's a
mentioned,
little different than what we heard before, I think.
As I mentioned at the prior meeting, the state and I disagree on interpreting this. The state has said that the licensed premises extension needs to be contiguous. I don't find that same interpretation, but
We don't wanna test it?
I guess it's up to you if you want to test it. I have all my arguments lined up in favor of my argument, but
And then my other question is, okay, let's show this option 1 with this licensed premises. That office is actually used, though, by our staff to run the farmer's market. So that would be a licensed premise that some other vendor rents from us and uses, has beer, wine, and liquor stored in there.
Premises in name only.
Well,
Right?
the liquor can't
A
come and
Pinot?
go from the premises. He could
Yeah.
not take the separate license, the liquor that gets sold into that license can't go back over to his other location and
Right,
whatever.
right, yep.
So, I mean, obviously, a bunch of stuff could be brought in for events, and most wholesalers will take back unopened cases or untapped kegs of products. So, I mean, there's still gonna be sometimes when our staff is in there running the, when there could be a little touchy, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know how involved the staff would be in that location if it was licensed out.
Okay,
Um,
so you're
and
saying it
then-
would just be, that's just the licensees then?
Well, I'm not sure, it depends on how we'd arrange the lease with the licensee as to whether there'd be any ability for staff to go on there, because obviously the licensee would have to trust that
Yes.
by allowing people in there who are not his employees, that would be okay for that person. So it'd have to be negotiated with whoever the licensee would be, as to the extent that city employees are in that area.
And we can't operate I mean, we need an attendant on fair days, or on farmer's market days. We can't just operate it remotely.
Alderman Rowe.
Right, and I don't know the right word, but now they're allowing, I know food stamps isn't the right word, but they're allowing them to be redeemed there now in that office. I don't know what the word is. Snap, thank you, but there's the coins now or something they're getting, or something where they redeem them there, where the farmers take them there. So that's going on in that building too.
Alderman May.
But my point about it being
Thank you.
a premises in name only, a Pinot, which is kind of funny. Come on.
Oh, the wine
Come on.
thing. and-
Yeah.
I get it.
Is
I'll give them
it,
that one.
it is the licensed premise, but if that was the licensed premise, and they could still set up a booth here to do the actual sales, even though that's their premise, right? So it's a premise in name only, but they're really set up
On days when we
Within.
on days when we allow them to extend their premises.
right. Oh, you're saying
It wouldn't be 365 necessarily,
right, yeah.
or even
Yeah, so
365 minus farmer's market.
it might be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday farmer market day.
It might be not
and-
farmer's market.
And this is the official premises, but they're actually selling from a place on the outside. You know what I mean? So that center area can still be used by staff.
Well, yeah,
Just a second, Cal.
yes, so under option one, that's how it could go. Under option two, it would not. Option two, they would have to serve from within that one location.
Alderman Alderman White.
What I was gonna say.
Okay.
I remembered for once. How are we gonna work that on food truck Wednesdays or Fridays, whenever they were? I mean, how will the alcohol sales?
Well, that's for us to decide.
No, I understand,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
okay. Do we still need that premises in name only then too? We still need that no matter what, right?
Well, Mr. Chair, if I could.
Please.
A lot of this is
Welcome.
about non-beer events. Events that have beer and more. Excuse me, more than just beer and wine.
Right.
Right now, we have a
Specialty
lot of
vodka.
flexibility on licensing events for beer and wine there. But this again would be wedding reception, Bloody Mary contest, margarita contest, bourbon tasting, whatever, you know. But I think that's what we're trying to get to here, right?
This is the only way to get intoxicating liquor served there. Otherwise, it has to be only beer and wine, and the types of applicants who can get those licenses are limited.
Okay, so the next step here is some kind of consensus, so you come back with something, or?
Depending on how the committee wants to go, I could draft if there's any ordinance changes necessary. Otherwise,
Yeah, you kind of like the mixing of the two
I like
also,
the
right?
mixing too. And honestly, I have not had a chance, if I could, Mr. Chair. There's a short list, at least, of people that I'm aware of that might be interested in this.
Mhm.
And I think I haven't had a chance to go talk to the people at least that are on my list. And if anybody has any suggestions, feel free to throw them in there. But I know 2 business owners in West Dallas that might be interested in this. And there'll have to be an RFP and all that. Yeah, it's all gonna be a clear and transparent process. But
Highest bidder.
well, and that's what it should come down to. But ultimately, they both might just say, how am I supposed to make money here? You know, so, and we'll see.
So, so you can put something together, we do have a meeting on the 11th, so,
so if the consensus is that you do want to proceed with either one of these ideas, the first step is trying to figure out who's going to be that licensee. And so I was just working with purchasing, but if that's the consensus, that's really the question today is, do you want to pursue either one of these options? And if you do want to pursue both, then I'll have to.
what combination of both?
Yeah.
So,
Could we provide ourselves the flexibility for, I'm sorry. Could we
Go ahead.
provide ourselves the flexibility for both in the ordinance language, and then we can just
Just
make a decision?
Legally, yes, but again, it'd be an administrative issue, and I don't know what the capacity of the police department would be to understand when they're in the moment, which is which, and how they could obtain that information, or if it would be consistent. So there'd be a lot of details to work out.
Could put up a sign on the office building saying, oh, it's a blue sign today, that means, yeah, you know what I mean? And It's
Even that
orange
much?
today, it means it's,
Alderman Weigel?
Can you send me this PowerPoint? And
Sure.
so that I could share it at least, so that when I'm sitting in some location talking to a potential operator, he can understand where we're at.
Sure.
And
Either if it's not uploaded on the Register yet, it will be, otherwise I can also just email it to you.
unless somebody else wants to volunteer to
Is
spearhead
that-
this with me.
is that-
It's gonna mean going to various restaurants in West Dallas and talking to owners.
Is everybody okay having this all done?
sounds like a fun field
So we
trip,
can
let's
vote-
go.
So we can vote it on it on the 11th?
I like the idea of
Well,
having the flexibility for both.
Right, what I'm saying though, but he's gonna write something up, but that we can vote on it for the 11th, so it can go to the next council meeting?
so the idea that what I would write up would be the carry-in issue. Is that something that you want
I
to
think-
address?
I think we're gonna need to limit the carry-in if we're gonna go with Plan B, to keep somebody from coming from home with a bottle of vodka.
Okay. Then that would be the only ordinance change that I think would be necessary. The rest would be doing the RFP to find the licensee and then the phrasing of that lease, which would take some time once the licensee is selected.
But I'm saying, do we need an ordinance to do this, or we can just go ahead and do it?
You can just go ahead and do it in concept. It's more the idea of, do you want us to start the RFP process or not? And then the only ordinance would be what I'd present on the 11th.
I think that, okay, I think that's a yes, right? Everybody?
Yes.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair,
All the way?
although I wanna see this happen, I don't think there's a reason to rush this. Again, do we wanna wait? We have a new council being sworn in a month. Not saying,
No.
should we wait for a final decision?
Well, it sounds like the only ordinance change is the carry-in issue,
Oh, okay.
which, right?
I don't think anyone would have an objection to that. You shouldn't be able to bring your bottle of vodka to the farmer's market.
Right.
So,
Bring my angel's envy.
I also, if we are doing an RFP, there'll be some time.
There'll be some
between
timeline.
When we send it out, and you can always not select anyone if
Right.
the new council.
We're not required to
changes
accept anybody's offer. It's not a road we're building, it has to get
okay,
done.
right. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, now, Administration and Finance will come back to order, and I will read us into closed session. For agenda item 29, the committee may convene in closed session pursuant to the provisions of section 19.851E of the state statutes for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating public business regarding a collective bargaining agreement whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The committee may reconvene in open session after completion of the closed session to consider the balance of the agenda.
Move to go into closed session.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Alderman Rote.
Aye.
Alderman May.
Aye.
Alderman Chapletsky.
Aye.
Alderman Weigel.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Okay, we are in closed session.